Morning to everybody. It's always amazing to meet people who are occupying their daily lives with trying to make this world a bit better. Starting with that, so I have a huge respect for any effort that goes in the direction of improving the world, and there's much to do. And the more we work together, the more we can achieve for sure. On this specific topic, and I haven't prepared anything because it's not just a few years, but my whole life, actually, I've been either living this issue and fighting myself to become, to live my dream with all the obstacles that the society has posed for me, for my family, for my friends. So beyond being today part of an organization who tries to help others, I've been, I can consider myself an expert on both sides. So starting with that, I've been talking a lot about the power of communication, the wording that we use to tackle racism. And to tackle racism is not here, but it was somewhere before. Anywhere. The word racism is very particular because not everybody's racist. There's a lot of racist behavior in football, but that doesn't mean that those people are necessarily racist. It's pretty delicate. I give an example about big brands. When they communicate their brands. They talk about their brand. They want their brand out there, by me. And what we're doing constantly is we're talking about racism. I showed before a picture of an armband where we have no racism and respect under it. And in the angle, practically you see respect racism. Doesn't make sense, right? So why do we continue to use the word racism? As a coach, I would hardly talk about the adversary as a strategy, because I make it bigger. I make them more important, especially when you play against the big teams. No need to tell my players to focus on Real Madrid or a Juventus all the time. I rather talk about what are we going to do to be the best version of ourselves. That as a philosophy encourages the players to really think about themselves and about the values we represent. And I continue to see communications going that we're going to fight racism, we're going to tackle racism, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And the words of inclusion, equality, and diversity, which is used a lot, I know, but still, I would prefer that rather than to see racism all over the place, because we're promoting racism unconsciously. It's a fact. Because the brands, the biggest brands in the world, Nike does not talk about Adidas in their campaigns, and vice versa. There is a reason for it. So why don't we start, first of all, to focus on communicating the world we want to have, where we want to go. If it's an inclusive world, then that has to be right in the spotlight all the time. This is a suggestion. It's a communication that I've had for many years with head of communications here, even in UEFA, because the intentions are great. I'm not talking about the intentions. I really talk about what is the deeper messaging that we want to get across. And it comes with responsibility of who has the platform to use it properly and to use it with all it means. And we have a lot of power, of course, when we combine sports and all the messaging around it. Coming towards another point, which is, we've seen Vinicius Jr. lately and all of these strange behaviors of fans, actually not fans, people in the stadium. There's a lot of talks. I've been speaking with some people who are working since a year on a very robust plan to come and involve all the stakeholders. So I see a lot of movement from different federations as well to come with solutions. And that is something that really makes me happy, because I think that at the end, in the world of football, whether it's on professional level, grassroots. I don't really separate them, because whatever we're seeing on the highest level is a mirror of society. So anything that happens in football, for me, we've said it many times, is just what is happening in the daily life of many, many people. And we have a smaller world, so we can definitely make an impact. If we can adjust ourselves, we can set the example for society to follow. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm participating actively in the different organizations, as Urs mentioned before. Because if we want to make change happen, we need to be part of that change, and we need to be sitting on those seats where we can have a voice, where we can share the thoughts of the people, because many times the most important solutions will come exactly from the grassroots. Just a little example, I'm also an active advisor for the police of the Netherlands. The Dutch police is also working on their own organization. They want to improve, they want to become more inclusive, etc. And we have a very interesting group of 12, 14 members of those advisory and inspiration group, for all backgrounds, different backgrounds. And I'm learning so much from that process, because I think there's great, there are good intentions and great will to make change happen, but people many times don't really know how. And I think the how, you've been working on the how for many years. I wish I could have listened first to all of you, but I have to take a flight. So they pushed me to the first part of the session. But I will definitely go into the details of the solutions, because that is exactly what we need. We need to start acting with the solutions, and we will make mistakes. Things will, might work out, might not work out, but it's better to move, I say, in a certain direction that we know is far away from where we are today, and in the right direction as well. In relations to coaches, I always wondered, and this is a conversation also for 15 years or so, why coaches are able to get their license and start working with the youth, but their aim and their goal is to become a professional coach. For me, this is a really wrong situation, because it means that whatever they're doing with the youth is just to promote themselves. I would really love to see in the future where we have a license that will allow you to coach youth players, young players, and you're not allowed with that license to be playing or working with adults and the professional world, and vice versa. Make a decision. If you want to work with youth, you need to have the passion to work with them, and you need to stick there. And I hope also the overall system, the clubs would reward those coaches better. So, because at the end, everybody needs to eat. So most of the time is also a matter of very practical choices one want to make to go up to earn a little bit more money. And I'm sure that systems can be found to also reward those coaches more, that have passion and are actually educators, that have the pedagogy capacity to really work with youth coaches, youth players, because the whole thing, grassroots or the youth academies and the professional level, when I grew up, I had educators. I had a coach for a few years, and he was a cyclist. He could not really shoot a ball. So he couldn't really show us how to shoot and what to do. He would take one of the guys who was good at something and say, okay, show them, and this is how you need to do it. But man, how much did I learn from him in terms of the values, the character building came mostly from this person. When it came on the tournaments, discipline, all the values of sports, the basic things were set up by this coach, and he was not talking about tactics. He was not talking about, technical aspects. It's about team, again, all the sport values and the things that will serve you for life. If we agree on these points, then we need to really revisit whatever we're doing with our courses. And it's not just the UEFA. I'm talking about the whole world that is focusing on, the tactics and the technical and the this and that. And at the end, we end up with players that only less than 1% will make it. The coaches that are actually in power to guide these young people in the right direction. And if we talk more about tactics and tactical things rather than building their character, there's something wrong. Because to become a professional football player as well, that's going to make the difference, your character, nothing else. So these are the things that I really talk a lot about. What makes a difference between me and another very talented player that I had next to me when we were 10, 12, 14, and then all of a sudden, what makes the difference? It's the mindset. It's that discipline that I had more than others. It's about that desire. It's about the creativity that I was able to have because the environment was created for me to be creative. I'm talking about all these aspects because there was no racism discussion when I grew up. Imagine youngsters that talk about racism. We need to get awareness for racism. No, we need to make them aware about the values of sports. Sports is the best tool. I'm not saying anything new here. Everybody knows that. To really guide youth and to develop their brain and to develop their character. So if we do all of that properly, we indirectly are tackling the issue. So rather than talking too much about racism, let's talk about how to be more human, what is friendship, what is, teamwork. This is what I learned when I was younger. These were the things that they were putting on us every single time. And now, to give you the difference of what was happening in my time in Ajax and what is happening now more and more, and I'm giving Ajax as an example because it's the biggest club in the Netherlands and well known for the youth development, is that more former players are becoming youth coaches. But their aim is not to stay there. But the license allows them, and they need to start there because they cannot be with the first licenses, coaches on a high level. So in the system, there is something that needs to be changed, because what is happening that many talents are not getting the right coaching, because that coach is already thinking about something else, thinking about the next step, how to grow, continue to do my course, because with my next one, I can become an assistant coach in the first team, et cetera, et cetera. And then on the grassroots level, I have to say Europe is on a very good place in terms of infrastructure generally. So I went to the Netherlands last week with Feyenoord and everything, and I saw Feyenoord has an amazing facility for the youth and even the amateur clubs. My brother, for example, is leading an amateur club in the Netherlands, and those facilities are better sometimes than some professional clubs in other countries. So, but does that really impact the work that has been done with the youth? No. Actually, it was better to have very bad pitches and, no grass on the pitch when we grew up. The wonderful project in Jordan, when I see, what they had before the pitch was put there, at the end, it's about the content, what we give them. So my last remark, and that's what I want to stress, is that if we focus on what we want to achieve, and as an athlete, I had to do that every single match. I visualize what I want to achieve. In my visualization, there is no negatives, zero, because I attract what I think about. I attract what I talk about. So if we talk about racism so much, we're going to have more racism. Let's talk about the things that we want. Let's visualize and discuss and put out the wording that we want to create. And I think then we will start seeing some different effects. I thank you for your attention. I hope to be able to really gather all the information of today. I won't be able to stay much longer, but hopefully you will have a great morning and afternoon with each other. Thank you so much. Thank you.